Welcome. Some may be confused with the silence at the beginning of this transmission. It allows space for those that are not aligned to fall away. It allows the algorithm to show that this won't be viral content. Because those that are hearing my voice now are not being invited by an algorithm. They are being invited by the silence or the presence synonymous with each other. To the analytical mind, it's nonsense. But I'm not communicating with your analytical mind. I'm communicating with the aspect of you beyond it, your soul, your spirit, the real you. I'm going to get a bit personal today because I've been guided in that direction to share a little bit more in depth about my own story, what I've been shifting through. Those of you that are familiar with my work, some are new to it. You've been recently guided toward these live streams, perhaps even some of the video content on YouTube, or even you've come over from Instagram. Many will know my background in hypnosis. 5 years ago, it is how I began, it's how I got started. And like all roads, the more you travel, the more is revealed to you. As you travel, the more the scenery changes as you get closer and closer to the destination. As I've been traveling this road often, it is a lonely road. Who knows what I'm talking about? A lot of people drop off. A lot of passengers exit the vehicle. As you get closer, they realize it's not where they want to go. I've watched a lot of people drop off or exit my journey because it didn't resonate with them. Even at the beginning of this transmission with you, many would have dropped off because of the lack of noise, the silence. 4 weeks ago, I entered a new phase of my journey, where the scenery around me began to look vastly different to what I had experienced before over the last 5 years of my work. My heart was always for truth, like many of you. I always said that as long as it's true, that is what I'm going to go with. And there have been times during my work where I've gone silent Not because I didn't want to communicate and connect with you, but because I needed to be clear. Unlike others, I never wanted to communicate for communication's sake. I only wanted to communicate what I knew was true. And during the times where I was unclear, I did not communicate. Now, I understand there are many people within the spiritual community that are louder with their voice. I'm going to be talking about that later on in this transmission today. When I made connection with what I have defined as the source, divine presence, divine intelligence, I haven't specifically named that in direct terms. The reason it's taken until today to get to the place of comfortability for me, and would you be patient for me because this is a big step. So I needed to be absolutely sure that what I was sharing, what I was communicating was truth. The reason that I say that is because I came from a background of religion. Who came from a religious background? I'm looking at some of the comments. Hello, Amanda. Hello, Dan. Great to see you amongst many that are here, or a few, 9 of you. And I got really disillusioned when I was growing up because I was excommunicated from my religious church because I didn't fit the dogma and the traditional way of seeing ethical values. It caused great distress over many years. I'll go further into my own testimony in other transmissions, but for the purpose of this, I want to stay on track. I left very disheartened, discouraged, rejected by a system that was about control, about dictating, about intermediaries between the divine and the individual. So I want to be very clear before I articulate what I'm to speak next. I am not advocating religion. In fact, the opposite. I'm advocating direct connection, something that very few religions fail to do. And that direct connection that I have isn't with a distant force, an unnamed force. It's a very personal one. I've said this even previously, closer than your very breath. To name this name in a non-religious context, and if you stay with these teachings, you will understand the connection that I have and that it's got nothing to do with religion. It's to do with direct connection and relationship. A best friend, if you like, because that's what it is for me. Now, many of you will guess what the name is. In fact, I'll let you guess. I'll look at the comments on the side of my screen where I can see your comments. But I will say it before I read it because this is a connection that isn't new. It's a connection that's always been there, although I didn't have the label because I associated the label with the dogma. I associated the label with a religious institution that acted as an intermediary between me and the divine. Now, of course, those that grew up with a traditional Christian faith will know I'm talking about Jesus. But the Jesus I now know is not the religious figure or the figure that demands sacrifice, because he was the sacrifice, not in a religious context, not what we've been taught. Now, those that follow Dolores Cannon's work will know that Dolores Cannon herself published 2 books on the real life of Jesus. Her first book was Jesus and the Essenes. The second book was They Walked with Jesus. That gave many people a glimpse into a more authentic version of the Christ that perhaps has been misunderstood. Some subscribe to the idea of Christ consciousness. And I think that is more of the theme that you will find with the teachings that I'm communicating, and they come through me to you. I want to clear up a lot of dogma, a lot of distortion, and a lot of falsehoods. When I was I call them my desert years now. When I was in the in-between, when I left religious institution, or no, let me correct. I didn't leave, I was excommunicated. There's a difference. I had what I call my desert years, and that's where I was searching. I was searching other religions, other philosophies. I studied all the great wisdom traditions. And many of you might relate to this. Nothing really satisfied. It was never personal. I couldn't really have a relationship with concepts and practices. And I had something to compare it to because I grew up with a relational start. But I was taught a Christ that wasn't the Christ that I now know. Who's relating to this story at the personal level? I'm going to read the comments. Perhaps you've had something similar that happened to you where religion has overrode the divine. I'm going to read some of the comments. Let me just... Hello, Jim. Jim is there. I was raised Catholic, but now you guess. Well, tell me, Jim. I want to hear. And I know what Soren thinks. And Soren is always here. Hello, Soren. And thank you for sowing seed yesterday. I want to thank you personally. That helps me. When you trust that people resonate and align, they support in their energy, in their prayer, in showing up, and through seed as Soren has. And hello, Amanda. Great to see you. My road began as a Catholic like Jim's. I grew up as a Catholic, and then I became a Protestant, a evangelical Christian, and then I was excommunicated. Some of you will guess the reason why. I won't go into that because that will prolong our message today, and it's really not so much about going into all of the details of my story. It's to understand where the information is coming from today. So with that, it's time to get into the teachings. And bear with me as I look at my notes because I want to stay on track. Many times when I do these, you will see me looking down, not because I don't want to look at you, but because I want to make sure that I cover everything that has been given to me. And I've been experimenting with a different system. I've moved things around. I'm still getting used to everything. I have a second camera too, which I'll show you, but it was a little bit out of focus. So we're working on that. Hello. But we will have two cameras. That is the next step. Let me share this with you. I am the way, the truth, and the life comes from John 14:6, and this version is the New King James Version, the one without all the these and the thous, the one I read. I am. Many, even within spirituality, talk about the I am. Wayne Dyer, one of my great teachers who's passed on now, spoke a lot about the I am. Actually, Wayne is a great example of someone who did not really teach religion. He embodied Christ and the Christ consciousness, and there probably wasn't a message that Wayne didn't share, that he didn't refer to Jesus or even some of the saints. He often quoted Francis of Assisi and his spiritual path. So I know a lot of you will resonate with this because there are many great teachers like Dolores Cannon, Wayne Dyer, that went down this road. For me, it was a journey back because I was hurt. I was rejected. And I associated the living Christ with what others said was the living Christ. A part of my mission is to break through religion. Not only the system, the world, but also to pierce truth through religious institution. So I'm going to ruffle a lot of feathers along the way. A lot of people are going to call me evil and misguided, and that I'm taking people away from the system, because I do not advocate intermediaries or intercessories. I advocate direct and personal connection. And that is the thing that I desire for you, whether you resonate with that or not. And perhaps you've seen a pivot in my teachings. Maybe they won't resonate anymore because I'm being and will continue to be more direct. But that's okay. Those that are meant to resonate will. Those that aren't will fall off, like the beginning of the live stream with the silence. We'll obviously have a lot drop off because of that. Okay. Truth is not a theory, it is a person. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And of course, this was spoken by Jesus the Christ, and it's referenced in John 14:6. Discernment, our ability to discern what is true and what's not, some call it the inner compass. Doesn't come from intellect. Now, I used to be like this. I would research, I would analyze, I would question. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not where true discernment comes from. Can anybody guess where true discernment arises from if it doesn't come from one's analytical aspect? I've observed through working within the spiritual community for 5 years, this marks my 6th year of doing this work full time, real lack of discernment. People take in everything. I got to experience that from channelers to teachers to influencers, all those sort of voices that tend to be loud, that get a lot of attention, that get the millions of views. Intuition, yeah. And Dan, where does intuition come from? Does it come from the analytical mind? Does it come from our collective human experience? Where do we get our intuition from? Let's be specific. And I open up comments to everyone on the live. Many people will be watching the replay as well, so you might be coming in with a comment on the replay. I always read my comments, by the way, on every video. I'm going to move my mouse over so I can see the updates. Many confuse being spiritually discerning with being consciously wary or critical. True discernment doesn't attack, it recognizes. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. You must unplug from mixed frequencies. You cannot remain clear if you stay plugged into chaotic streams, spiritual content that entertains minds but clouds your spirit. See, spirituality has become very entertaining these days. People come on to do a live stream, or they come on to communicate online, and they come to perform. It's one of the reasons I started transmission now with complete silence, because what that indicates, what that symbolizes, what that eradicates is those that are looking for sound, looking for drama, looking for entertainment. That's not what you're going to get here. Occasionally I will be direct and raw and honest and real, but it's not meant to contain. It is meant to pierce the veil of illusion. That's what my call is, to pierce into places that have been made dark. This entire reality, if you look at some of my earlier live streams from a few weeks ago, I spoke a lot about this reality. I spoke about the distinction between this reality and the real earth reality. This isn't the real one. And the concept of the new earth, I corrected. Although John in the Isle of Patmos and spoke in the book of Revelations about I see a new heaven and a new earth prophetically, and Dolores Cannon took that and made that into a title of a book, The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. Although it's not incorrect, it's just not as precise, so it can cause confusion. The reason that John said that was, to John, he saw a new heaven and a new earth. It was new to John. But what I came to clarify, it is not a new heaven and it is not a new earth. It's the real one. Within this reality, we have had a overlay, a false construct. We are living in an illusion, or some like to call a simulation or a matrix. If you've seen the movie, that will give you context. This isn't the real one. And the shift that is coming, it's already here. We're further getting deeper and deeper into it, is those that are returning aren't returning to a new earth, they're returning to a real earth, the real one, the one that symbolically has been described in the book of Genesis, where Adam and Eve, representing the divine masculine, the divine feminine, fell. Now, what does that mean? It means that they fell from a frequency. They fell from a real version of reality into a false version of reality. They changed frequencies. They changed realities. They fell from the real to the false. And for thousands of years, we've been living in a false matrix reality, which is called what? The illusion. What we're facing, what we're living through right now, is a great separation where souls get to choose. Dolores Cannon spoke about this in her book. She described it as the shift where souls get to choose which direction they go. Will they return to the real earth? Will they exit the illusion? Will they exit the matrix? Or will they remain with it? So that is the great separation. That is the time that has been prophesied through John in the book of Revelations. It's been spoken about through the Hopi prophecy. Many other wisdom traditions have specifically pointed to this time now that we're living through about the great split, or in my terminology, the great separation. We've got to unplug from the mixed frequencies. There's so many different voices. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. How many different voices are we tuning into? Are we listening to one particular channel that's imparting or channeling certain information, and then are we going to another way of thinking? And are we double-minded? Are we getting these mixed signals everywhere? Because presence is your spiritual immune system. Say spiritual immune system. What is happening is most people, even in the spiritual community, are really not shifting. They're remaining comfortable. See, people like predictability. They want things to be predictable, the same. They want to feel safe. But the times that we're living through are not times to be safe. They're times to decide. Do you want to keep going with all of the confusion and the delusion? Some of you that are listening and watching, from an early age, you never resonated with this reality. You always knew that there wasn't something right. And maybe you got called crazy or strange, or they thought there was something wrong with you. The reason that we experience that at a young age is because, one, we haven't been conditioned with all the conditioning of the system. And two, we're a lot more in contact with our soul because we haven't been conditioned yet. Now, if you are one of those people that never felt like you belong, I want to confirm something with you. You don't. You weren't supposed to. You didn't come here to fit in. You came here to break free. Say that after me. I came here to break free. First, we need to be awake and aware. If you're awake and aware, you'll begin. Not everybody that says they wake up is shifting, by the way. There's this whole counterfeit awakening going on. This is something that I've been told about. Even I wasn't aware of this. But there's what I've been told is that there is a counterfeit. See, there's a counterfeit for everything that is real. This whole reality, it's been described to me this way. It's a mirror reflecting backwards. You know, when you look into a mirror and you see your reflection, not the way that it is, but it's the reverse of what it is in reverse. So this is how this reality works. It is a backwards reflection of what is real. I'm going to offer some different teachings that talk about this reality as being the mirror world. It's a hall of mirrors. So everything that is real is going to be reflected back in reverse, or you might want to say the opposite of. And haven't you noticed that even recently in media and pop culture, that everything that is pure gets spun around the other way, and we think that bad is good and good is bad? There's a whole agenda that has gone on for a long time about glamorizing violence, glorifying evil. In fact, I don't think you could even go through most TV shows now without seeing murder as a central theme. There are other themes that are starting to emerge that are a little bit unpalatable, I could say, to not specifically name them, but they are trying to normalize things that are just destructive to the soul. Not that the divine is being judgmental or trying to control or manipulate, or that we need to adopt a certain rule system because of punishment. Nothing like that. It's just attaching people more and more to a system, trying to get people more connected to the system. Something I did recently was I deleted all my news apps. So as of the last 3 weeks, I haven't really read the news. I have no idea what's going on in the false world anyway, because my attention is on the real one. And my job is to guide and help people make the transition and the shift. So really, where my focus needs to be guiding this path for those that are choosing to align with it, is to read and to understand and to connect with the wisdom about the real one, because we are going home, those that are choosing to do it. And then most other people, not because they're being forced to, this is decision time, most people won't do that because they're unwilling to let go of the false construct. They think they need it to survive. They need the identity, they need the fame, they need the money, they need the trappings, consciously or unconsciously. And so that will tie them to the old or the false reality, not that they're being forced, but that is what they are choosing. See, a lot of people will hear this message and not like it because it sounds a little bit too harsh. So then they will discard it and they'll go to something that makes them feel safe. They will find a spiritual message that they think resonates because it makes them feel good. It's a feel good. The reason I found this challenging today to share this message is because to me, it's stepping out of what I feel comfortable with. What is coming through me isn't to make people feel comfortable. It's to awaken them, and it's to make the choice clear. Now, of course, as this message spreads further, as it will over time, it won't happen suddenly. It will happen very slowly over time. But as it does spread, many people will really reject this sort of message because they think it's too harsh. They want the sweet by and by. They want it easy. They want to go to a influencer. They want to go to a spiritual teacher, and they want them to be the intermediary. They want them to be the one that's giving them everything. And that's not how it works beyond the illusion. It is direct connection. It was one of the greatest lies that was attributed to the teachings of Christ, is that you needed something, or you needed to do something, or you needed to live or be a certain way for you to have direct connection. Well, I break that lie because it is not true. And this is a very small community of people, but at least as long as I can, within this small community, I will speak that truth out. My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me. Although I've forgotten, I realized that in my desert years, I was still hearing that voice. Although I had given that voice a different name, I called it spirit guides, I called it angels. I'd even tried to communicate with them, but it was told to me that it's me speaking. It's me been speaking all along. I never leave nor forsake you, even to the end of the age. What is that? The end of the age. The end of the illusion, the construct. Now, most people aren't going to make that shift. Most people are going to stay with what is predictable and familiar and what feels safe. And we, and I quote Dolores Cannon now, are not meant to convert or convince or try to change anybody. See, that's the difference between what I teach and what I relay. I just relay a message, and if someone doesn't resonate, they don't resonate. Doesn't affect me. I'm not looking for numbers. In fact, I make sure that these live streams are starting with silence so the numbers actually drop off. It might even change from being silent for 30 seconds to longer. Maybe that'll give them more of an opportunity for more to drop off. Because I'm not here to get watches and likes and grow something big. I'm here to pierce through the veil of illusion, offer the way, the truth, and the life for those who are ready to hear it. And then, let me bring that up. There we go. And you either take it and you resonate with it and you understand the real Christ and the real Jesus and the real consciousness, or you reject it. You say it's not for me and you move back to where it makes you feel comfortable. These live streams aren't here to make people feel comfortable. These live streams are here to wake you up. If you are waking up and you are aligning with divinity itself, you are aligning with the Christed consciousness, you are aligning with the I am, and you're returning home to where you really belong. And that is to the real earth. Not this false backward mirror reality, the real one. I was told that most people aren't going to make that shift, not because for any other reason, that free will exists. It would not be divine love without choice. The absence of choice is control, right? If someone is saying to you, you stay in this relationship and you must do this, otherwise I punish you. That's not love. It's choice. Real love says you can come or you go. It's your choice. I'd rather you stay. I'd rather you commune. I'd rather you be here. And I'll be here when you're ready, but it's your choice. See, that is love. And that is what the great separation is about. It's a time for souls to finally get to decide. And those that are choosing, They finally get to be liberated. They don't have to keep coming back and keep being stuck. They can finally align to the truth, discard delusion, discard all the falsities of this reality, and they can finally return home. But here's the kicker. You have to discard. You have to surrender. You can't take it with you. You can't take all of the attachments. Now, the good news for those that have very little in this life, I'm so blessed that I don't have and have not acquired all of the trappings of the system. It makes it very easy to decide. When you've surrendered it all, when you legitimately have surrendered and you've let it all go, it's very easy to align with the truth. But those that have heavy attachments to things, form identity, ego, yes, even within the spiritual community, will find it difficult. Perhaps what will wake them up is what is to come, where this separation becomes much more clear. Because what is happening is the system, because of people waking up, the system is having to ramp up, because when too many people are awake, the system doesn't function correctly. And so that is why we are seeing this ramping up of agenda and control. It's not happening randomly. It's happening by design. It's one of the reasons that all of my videos get shadow banned now, and actually have always been shadow banned even before that. Because when someone is sharing truth that threatens the system itself is not going to promote. There are many spiritual teachers that are promoted by the system. And those that are aware and awake, wouldn't you ask why, right? This has seemed obvious to me recently, but then I was trapped in the illusion. See, I'd see these big spiritual names and I think, wow, they get all this attention and the millions and millions of views, but why is the system promoting some of them? Now, I'm not saying that all those teachers are misaligned or they're teaching truths that aren't true. I'm just questioning the system itself. Because what I've learned about this system is if someone is sharing truth that's going to liberate somebody and allow them to exit it, the system won't like it. So it has metrics in place to suppress. Here on YouTube, it's called shadow banning. There are certain words and phrases, and not only the words that are being spoken, the energy, because everything has energy, everything has frequency that is designed within the system itself. Someone says, surrender all to the Lord Jesus. Yes. Obviously, we have people that are resonating with that, and I'll share that again. That's the wrong one. Forgive me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's not about religion. It's about relationship. It's about divine connection. It's about, why did Jesus come? A lot of people say this, did he come to start a religion? No, he did not. He came to break the system. He came to break the system. He came to break the illusion. He, being the manifestation of the divine, came to be the way out of the system. That's what he meant. I am the way out. I am the truth and I am the life. What he meant, and he gave me this analogy, He said, you think about it like this, Paul. You're going through a forest and it's dark and it's dense and you can't see the way out. How do you get out? He said, this is what I am. I am the way. I am the path that you walk. I will light that path and then lead you out of it. See, how do we get out of this illusion? How do we shift from the false earth to the real earth? We follow the path. He is the path. He is the way out. And He is the light. And the light that will guide your way. Now, you can try to take another path through meditation or other things. And yes, those things will offer enlightenment, but do they offer liberation? Because there's a difference between enlightenment and liberation. Do you want to be liberated? Do you finally want to discard all that no longer serves you? And do you finally want to be free, or do you just want to feel good? See, that's the difference here. Many spiritual paths, teachers offer enlightenment, feel good, inner peace, higher peace. But do they offer full liberation? That's a question. Now, I can answer that for myself because I've walked this path. I'm 44 years old this year. And for me, I started really this spiritual journey probably way before 16, but I really remember it from 16 years of age. So I've been living this for really that whole time. So I've been around. I've read all the books. I've read 250 or listened rather on Audible, 250, I think, last count. Spiritual books. I've tried every method. I've done everything, more than most will. So I have experience here, but I only put it as a question to you. Now let me go back to my notes because I want to make sure that everything He gave me, I give to you. So I need to stay on track because I make these videos not really for people. I make them for Him, and I'm just a voice. I don't care if you don't like my hair, even though you can't see it today, or anything else. I put a lot of effort into the presentation and the cameras and all the things I do because I have a spirit of excellence. And it's important to represent who I represent with excellence, make it as good as it can be. But I'm not really concerned anymore whether it resonates or it's got 12 people watching as it does right now or not. It doesn't concern me anymore. I used to be very concerned, but now it doesn't matter because I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. I'm here to pierce the veil of illusion. I'm here to wake those up that are ready for it, but this isn't for the masses. And there's a lot of liberation in that when you let go of all of whatever. I can just come on. I'm living in relation and communion, and He's speaking through me, and I'm connected to Him, and I know it's Him, and no one can tell me anything different. And then my work is done, as long as I'm to run this race. Isn't that a much better way to live? It's certainly a much better way to live for me. I'm going to end with this. I think I shared that. My sheep hear my voice and they follow me. I know that voice. How do I know that voice? It communicates with my spirit and my mind interprets it. I get chills in my body. I get number synchronicities. I feel a presence. This happened to me yesterday in the kitchen where I have no airflow. I live in a small apartment. I felt right next to my wall, wind hit my face. I'm like, where did the wind come from? The doors are closed. I live in a small apartment. I've never felt something like that. I sensed that there was something different. He said it was my breath on your face to confirm. See, I've been experiencing lots of miracles manifesting because he wants to confirm that it is him and I'm not just in wishful thinking. See, he will confirm. He will confirm in your own life. But you have to open the door. You have to seek. If you seek, you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you, but you have to do that. He won't intrude or interfere with your free will. See, that's what this is all about. This is all about free will. And the great separation that's not coming, it's here, it's unfolding now, is about your choice to decide, do you stay with the illusion and the confusion and everything that the system promises you? Or do you say, no more? I'm ready to go home. I'm done. I'm aligning with truth. I'm aligning with Jesus. I'm aligning with love and divinity itself. I'm aligning with presence, whatever word you want to get it, because see, it doesn't really matter. It's all the same thing. It's just that Jesus is the physical embodiment of the divine that came, who overcame the system, so that if you are aligned, then you overcome the system and then you're liberated as he was liberated. Return to presence. Return to the shepherd's voice. Let truth become your atmosphere. You were not made to survive this season through intellect or information. You were made to walk in divine clarity. Now for tomorrow's live stream, I hope to have this camera focusing and set up. How's it going? Let me check it. Oh, it looks all right. Maybe we can play with that. Maybe we'll get that to match the other camera and look a bit better. And I've got some slides, as you've been seeing, all these wonderful slides that come up. Isn't that, I actually didn't cover that one. The anointing teaches you that presence, that teaches you concerning all things, 1 John 2:7. These live streams I'm excited about because we're going to have lots more happening. I've worked very hard to set this system up as a well-oiled machine so that I can reference things and play videos for you and share people's personal stories of how their lives are changing and they're getting healed. And so if you stick with me tomorrow, if you're watching the replay, please reach out, but I will see you all tomorrow. I don't know what specific time. I just go with whatever is aligned in the moment. And I will see you tomorrow. Much love. I'll see you tomorrow.